So I'll start off by, I want to address one slight inaccuracy. Who was in the previous session around the China sword thing? Most people. Is Tony Curry in the room? Tony's a good guy. He did mention that there's no energy from waste facilities in Australia. Well, I'm going to show you one now. And the second thing is he said energy from waste is more expensive than landfill. Well, that's not necessarily the case. So if anyone wants to talk to us about our facility and how we might be able to help you, come and visit us at the ResourceCo stand afterwards, and we'll have a more detailed chat about what we're doing. But look, what I've wanted to do today was just share with you a facility that we're currently commissioning in Wetherill Park in Sydney. And that's our new resource recovery facility, which incorporates the production of process engineered fuel. Process engineered fuel, which I'll talk about in a slide or two, is simply a high quality RDF, or the technical, sort of the more common term is solid recovered fuel, SRF. And yeah, as I said, we're just switching it on, and we're looking forward to seeing it up and running over the coming months. So just firstly, for those who who've never heard of ResourceCo before, just a 1 minute overview. We're a privately owned Australian company. We've got about 500 employees. We operate in every state of Australia, and we also have a growing Southeast Asian business as well, with about 50 people in the region. We focus on Malaysia, Philippines and Singapore. The sustainable energy business, which is sort of a part of ResourceCo, which has a lot of focus for us at the moment, focuses on manufacturing fuel out of generally non-MSW waste streams. The fuel we make is SRF and TDF. We currently manufacture over 300,000 tonnes of that. About 100,000 tonnes is used within Australia, and we export about 200,000 tonnes of that offshore, and we have done for over 5 years now without issue. The goal is to grow our fuels business. There's a fantastic opportunity in Australia, in a lot of states where landfills, as Mark's pointed out, landfills are filling up, levies are going up, and communities expect us as an industry to do more with waste rather than put it in a landfill. And I'm not disparaging landfills. They perform an absolutely vital service to the community. There are other alternatives as well. So for us, there's also a fantastic opportunity for alternatives to fossil fuels in cement kilns. So cement kilns, and forgive me if you've heard me talk about this before, they are enormous consumers of energy. They're very large pieces of equipment, and they are seeking alternatives to fossil fuels everywhere to mitigate cost, to get better diversity across their fuel streams, and also, as time goes on, to get additional sustainability credentials. Although, unfortunately, at the moment, we cannot get a premium for SRF into cement kilns. We still need to be at a discount to fossil fuels everywhere. That's a fact of life. As time goes on, though, we hope in the decades to come that will change. Okay, so just to, I guess, sort of ensure that we're all on the same page in terms of what our waste-derived fuel, or what we call PEF, where it sits in the waste hierarchy. Look at that. I've never seen that before. I've learned something today. So we basically, PEF absolutely sits below recycling and above landfill. So all we do is compete with landfills for those waste streams that have an energy content in it that can be turned into a fuel with a decent calorific value and various technical specifications that meet cement kiln criteria. We cannot, and as was rightly pointed out in the previous session by Mike Ritchie, we cannot compete with recycling. Not only is, that doesn't fit with the waste hierarchy, that's not the desire of any government anywhere. on top of all of that, we physically cannot economically compete with recycling. Recyclers typically, produce a commodity that has some significant value. Now, I know there's some what we hope are going to be shorter-term challenges with China salt at the moment, but produces commodities with significant value. The commodities, the fuel commodity we produce has to compete with coal, and as a result, it is low value. So we have to have a higher gate fee to be able to offset a lower value product out the end, which makes us uneconomic to compete with recyclers, even if we did have a desire to. What we can do, though, is provide a fantastic non-landfill solution to residuals out of recycling, and for those waste streams that can't go through a recycling process for whatever reason. So I've put this slide up before a few times at other places, but again, it's useful, I think, just to sort of understand exactly where we fit in the waste supply chain. So, from your right to left, waste is generated and collected. Hopefully it will go through some sort of recycling process where commodities of value are extracted out of it. Some streams don't. Non-recyclable, non-residuals then have an option to go to landfill, and if they're a high energy content stream, there's an option to have fuel manufactured out of them. And then just very quickly again, it's a pretty simple process. SRF is high on energy content waste materials, typically dry, so non-recyclable plastics, timber, so engineered timber, treated timbers, painted, etc. So non-clean timber, textiles, dirty paper and cardboard, stuff that is going to go to a landfill, we like. And then the processing is just mechanical shredding, sorting, with also air separation to end up with a final fuel on the right, which is typically a piece size of less than 50 millimetres, sometimes less than 35 millimetres, maximum size dependent upon the cement kiln requirement. And it looks like chopped up lolly wrappers effectively with a high plastic content. And the point down the bottom is cement kilns. A cement kiln nowadays costs $500 million. They're a very big piece of kit. They are a continuous process operation, and if you supply a fuel or a raw material that upsets the process of a cement kiln and causes it to stop, that is an incredibly expensive mistake. So cement kilns rightly have very strict specifications around their fuel. And it's all about, we're a manufacturing process, we manufacture fuel, we don't grind rubbish, and that's a very key mindset to have in this business. Okay, so getting on to our Wetherill Park plant, and that's a little hard to see, but again, come to our stall and we can show you it in all its glory close up. Basically, we've got a facility there that I'll go right across. It's licensed to take 250,000 tonnes per annum of waste in. We will slowly ramp that facility up. Not sure, we don't have plans to get to that volume, certainly anytime soon, but it was in our licensing process we applied for that for future expansion opportunities if they arise. So as I said, it's mechanical and pneumatic separation. We get more than 90% recovery of the waste into the plant, into usable commodities, including our fuel. And the waste that we bring in is dry, non-recyclable waste streams, non-putrescible, high CV is what we're targeting. So it's a $30 million investment for our company. That's a big investment. It's a 2.1 hectare site, and we've got 9,000 square metres under roof. That is an actual picture of the site as it will look within a month or so. We have struck a long-term offtake contract with Boral, who operate a cement kiln in Berrima, so it's about an hour and a half south of Sydney. They're our foundation offtaker. We will be manufacturing PEF to export into our network of cement kiln customers in Southeast Asia as well. The Clean Energy Finance Corporation has given us the loan facilities for this project. and we also were given a grant by the New South Wales EPA, which was greatly appreciated as part of the process. So when it's up and running, we'll have 50 direct employees. That's across 2 shifts. All waste received is processed indoors, so the facility is a closed operation. We have rapid roller doors, and that's really just to keep a zero emission site. We have a lot of dust control, and anyone who's building a facility at the moment will get hammered with an enormous amount of fire protection requirements. It's exceedingly hard to get insurance nowadays, as I'm sure everyone's experiencing in this industry. So yeah, we were certainly, yeah, we've had a nice journey of discovery around the different types of fire protection in the world that you have to put into these facilities. But that's just the cost of doing business in this industry at the moment. And we have a full lab, workshop and other facilities to support this standalone business. Now this is a little hard to see, but for those who aren't familiar with Sydney, that's us. There we go. So basically that yellow highway to the north, the M4, and the M7's just to the west of that Prospect Reservoir. So the purpose, we'd spent a lot of time finding the right site, because for us, we want to be a high service operation. We've got a fully concreted site, focused on very quick turnaround for waste collection customers. They can tip undercover, so all weather tipping, and the shorter we can make their disposal time, the more time they've got to pick up bins, which is where they make their money. So we're licensed to accept, as I said, dry, non-putrescible waste streams, which does include residuals from recycling facilities. So this is where we can really add some value to the industry, particularly those complicated, light residuals that have been hard to do anything with other than send to landfill in the past. We certainly love that type of material and can turn that into a high quality fuel. C&I waste streams, so long as they meet with the licence criteria. Difficult mixed C&D waste streams, lightweight mixed C&D waste streams where there's not a lot of concrete. We can't compete with sort of heavy C&D recyclers, but certainly those C&D loads where there is a lot of lightweight material and not much heavyweight. And an interesting one for councils is council curbside waste is an opportunity to put through this facility as well. The final point here, and I think people who have gone through the New South Wales Energy from Waste policy, it is quite an onerous policy, particularly around resource recovery, and this facility is governed by that policy. So a lot of our, the design right from the inception of the idea was about trying to make sure that we can partner with our waste customers and ensure that we always comply with that energy from waste policy, and in particular the resource recovery criteria. So look, I'm not going to, that unfortunately didn't come out as well as I'd hoped. Like I said, again, if you're interested, please come and stop by our stand. We'll take you through the details of the plant, but that is a 3D render of the physical plant itself. All I'll say is on the right-hand side, all the waste goes through a primary shredder. It's all sized to a 300mm minus piece size, and then from that shredder, it will go through the first magnet in the process, and then where that arrow is pointing right there is a waste screen which cuts the waste stream, the stream into 2 sizes, less than 50mm and bigger than 50mm. The larger than 50mm goes through one stream, air separation, some other screens, and a set of ballistic separators, basically to end up with a high CV, high calorific value PEF, which we export. The other material will go through a secondary line to make a lower calorific value PEF, which is what Boral have asked for. And then at the end, that's where it comes out, the high CV PEF that we export. We bale into 1 tonne bales, We wrap in air and water tight wrapping and export out through 40-foot containers. So the approval process, it was shorter than the Viola experience, and that's really because we don't deal with MSW. So it's dry, non-pute, CNI, residuals from recycling facilities, etc. So really for us, we decided in early calendar year 2015 that there was a really good business opportunity to put one of these into the Sydney marketplace. We triggered the state significant development process given the volume of the site. We launched that in September 2015. We got the response from planning in October. We submitted our EIS in March of 2016. That bubble should probably be red in colour. There was a hell of a lot of to and fro, that's for sure. All good value-added stuff. And then April 2017, we got the consent and the plant started, the building and infrastructure started, and the plant started to be put in December. And as I said, we're just starting to dry commission at the moment. So there's 2 more slides only. Look, the one thing that was really, really helpful, to be honest, in actually getting the approval was we could point to, we've had a similar facility working in Adelaide now for about 10 years, supplying about 100,000 tonnes of fuel to Adelaide Brighton cement kiln. So it wasn't new technology, and the New South Wales EPA were very, very interested in what was going on in South Australia, and to their credit, they took the time to put a team on a plane to come down and visit both facilities and meet with the operational teams from both the fuel manufacturing and also the cement kiln. And I think that helped sort of answer a lot of questions and concerns they had. And then the final one, just another sort of key learning was working closely with the New South Wales EPA on what is a relatively new concept for Sydney. It's obviously not a new concept elsewhere in Australia, and certainly not a new concept in the rest of the world. There's about 40 million tonnes of SRF traded around the world, is the best estimate. We'll be producing a bit over 100,000 tonnes in Wetherill Park, but working with them in a very close manner was absolutely critical to ensuring we could make sure they were satisfied that the facility was going to be a value-adding one for New South Wales. So that's it. Any questions?
We've got a chance for one question.
That's it? Okay. Yeah, possibly, and it does in other countries. The big challenge is it's economics. So there are energy from waste plants that can certainly burn SRF successfully. The problem is energy from waste plants are very expensive to build, and usually they need a very high gate fee to basically get the return on their investment. So taking in raw waste, they can charge a high gate fee rather than taking a prepared fuel. So typically the combination of the fuel preparation and then an energy from waste plant that'll burn SRF, the returns don't justify the capital investment. I think so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.